Good afternoon, everyone. All right, show of hands. How many of you have used Wi-Fi on an airplane? How many of you could live without Wi-Fi on an airplane? You could live without it? Really? Wow. All right, so maybe the future of the disruption is to not be connected. Michael Small is the CEO of Gogo. Gogo was the pioneer of in-flight connectivity and remains one of the leaders in the category. And it's great that we have you here, Michael. Thank you. We're talking about the future of travel. We're talking about disruption. The first question I have to ask is the elephant in the room. Gogo's nickname is no-go sometimes. It's hard to use. It doesn't always work the way you guys would like it to. How do you make the experience better on a consistent basis so that we have the experience you want us as your customer to have?
Yeah, absolutely. And no one works harder on solving this problem than Gogo. And I think if Maslow was alive today and his hierarchy of human needs, internet connectivity would have to be incorporated somewhere. So I get how badly everybody wants this service these days. And we did create an industry with our solution, and it actually does work pretty reliably, but it's tremendously congested right now. We understand that. We couldn't think of a better solution than to actually raise price. It's what you do with hotel rooms and airplane tickets when you're oversold, and we know it's not very popular. The solution is better technology, quite pure and simple, and we are now deploying what we call 2KU, and we believe it is the first true global broadband highway in the sky. It is fast, it is affordable, and it's everywhere airlines fly, virtually everywhere. We've installed it on our own aircraft. It's flying today, testing very well. It's been installed on 2 commercial aircraft for Virgin Atlantic and for Aeromexico. We'll receive certification on it shortly, and by end of the year, we'll begin deploying.
Okay, so 2KU, just to make sure everyone here understands, it's a satellite technology.
Correct.
In layman's terms, what does 2KU mean?
Yep. So if you're going to provide connectivity around the globe, and 3/4 of the globe or more is water, air-to-ground technology, cell towers are going to do it. You need a satellite solution. So we came up with what we think is the better satellite solution. We call it 2KU. It's a proprietary antenna design, and it basically takes advantage of all the existing satellites we use today. We actually have satellite planes flying for Delta and Japan Airlines. We use that same global network, but this new antenna makes our efficiency twice what it used to be. So it either costs half as much or it can go twice as fast, whatever you want to do. And it also has superior global coverage. So there used to be challenges around tropical regions with the way you've oriented to satellites, and we solved all those. So we offer twice the speed at lower cost, and we offer superior global coverage. So we're really excited about this.
Okay. Good. So clearly we are going towards a mobile-based world. The research that I have just done shows that in every country that we looked at, 8 countries worldwide in Asia, South America, Europe, North America, ownership of smartphones exceeds desktops. It is coming close to, also is above laptops. Tablets are coming close to laptop. So we're going on with these things.
Correct.
The connected traveler expects this, but what does the connectivity enable us as travelers to get beyond just, sure, we can get on the web? What should we, or for the airlines in this room, their customers, be able to expect from the new world of in-flight connectivity?
Yeah. So the world, it is changing rapidly. I mean, the early application was simply for people to connect with whatever device they brought onto the plane, but it's now about the connected aircraft. We will connect the passenger and the crew and the aircraft and its various components. So the avionics will be connected, the engines will be monitored. But the service expectation on planes, you're not going to wait to rebook a flight till you land. That's going to be done in air. You're going to be able to do all monetary transactions in the air, so upgrades can happen real time. I think you will see more expensive things sold to you on the plane because you can do a credit card validation real time. The flight crew will have a CRM system and know who you are, and even if you didn't get your upgrade, you can get a higher level of service in the back of the plane. I think all the things you saw today about making a dinner reservation and stuff like that, it's going to happen in the plane. It is a little hard to get out of the mindset, but you had trouble sending people anywhere on the face of the globe that was less connected than an airplane historically, and now that's going to change. So everything you expect out of connectivity anywhere on the ground is going to exist on the plane, and you're going to have to incorporate that into your thinking.
Right. So we've seen airlines sign deals with organizations like Amazon Prime and Netflix. Is satellite makes this possible? Does that mean that we get our content the way we would on the ground, that we can stream video and have it pretty much like we would at home? Yes.
One of the frustrations when it was an engineering miracle that we made this work in the sky, but then immediately it wasn't as good on the ground. So that's one of the reasons we struggle with keeping our customers happy. But with the new satellite technology, that gap gets narrowed dramatically. So the ability to stream on the plane will exist. The surfing, the browsing will be much snappier than in the past. And there will be plenty of available bandwidth for the airline to start doing their operational applications.
Right. You mentioned something a moment ago that speaks to the Internet of Things, which is that the airline gets these benefits out of it, not just the crew being able to verify the credit card charge, but the airplane itself.
Correct.
What does that mean? I mean, so the aircraft's engines would have internet sensors in them and transmit information to the ground? Is that something that, in other words, they could communicate with the pilot and say, hey, your number one engine is about to going to have to be shut down?
Yeah, so the more modern aircraft, particularly the 787s and the A350s, already have many thousands of sensors on the plane, and the data is often captured on the plane and then sits there and no one can do anything with it. So the real-time information about engine performance and fuel burn will happen. Already, NASA has developed an application called TASER, which runs on an electronic flight bag on a tablet, and you can give better routing information to a pilot, considering air traffic and weather and wind speeds, and saving time and fuel on any given flight. That's already out there. They estimate about $150,000 of savings per year per aircraft from that application. Maintenance has always had to be interval-based on planes, but now it can be condition-based because you're monitoring it. There should be many billions of opportunities to save money there.
Okay, so as we look at this from the standpoint of mobile, where do you guys see the mobile world headed? I mean, from how we will be using mobile devices to connect and consume content, whatever it is. What do you think we will be seeing going forward?
Yeah, well, I think everybody's, the trends on the ground are pretty obvious. Linear programming is going out and it's over the top. You find the content you want, and that same trend is going to happen in the air. We find today that airlines want to duplicate the experience that passengers are used to today. Can you find a way to make it lighter and cheaper to see movies that we were showing previously on the plane, maybe expand the inventory a little bit, maybe get a little live TV. But I think the long run trends are people want to watch what they want to watch real time, and they don't want anybody to program it for them.
Overall, what percentage of the use of Gogo is a mobile device versus a laptop or non? Yeah.
So we launched first aircraft August 2008, exclusively laptops. Today, it is getting close to a third, smartphones, tablets, and laptops, and there's no doubt what segments growing. I think a little bit that has to do with the seats getting closer together, but some of it has to do with technological trends.
Do you see any difference in the behavior of someone who's on a smartphone or tablet compared to the person who's on a laptop? Is that smartphone or tablet user doing more things that might be considered entertainment versus information or web surfing? I mean, what are the differences that you guys notice that might disrupt us going forward?
Yeah, so we are, because we are charging a lot currently for our service, we're targeting the business traveler, and the business traveler is most likely to use the laptop, although not exclusively. I think you get a little more social media oriented as you go more towards the smartphone. But what we're doing today, simply due to lack of capacity, is targeting the business traveler. As we expand over, bring more bandwidth to bear, and this is what it's all about, is solving the engineering problem, getting more bandwidth to the plane. As that happens, then people increasingly are going to do exactly what they do on the ground in the sky.
Okay, all right. So, you mentioned that you have a model that basically, because of the limitations, discourages people from using it because you have to. How do you see things evolving? That, again, as the traveler, what will the traveler do? Will it still be pay by the session? Will it ever be free? JetBlue announced yesterday they're progressing with offering free high-speed Wi-Fi. Some airlines offer free high-speed Wi-Fi to some of their customers.
Yep.
Is it going to be that with a sponsored model for us, or are we still going to have to pay by the time increment or gigabyte of data consumed? What happens there?
Yeah, I think it's like bags fly free or they don't, and the same thing's going to be true. The airline will make the decision what they want to do with in-flight connectivity. We offer both business models today. Most of our partners have shied away from doing that. They actually like getting a check rather than writing a check, and so it hasn't happened yet. I do see the day where everybody on the plane is engaged with connectivity in some fashion. Some people may be paying a premium to get, stream whatever they want, and VPNs and all that. And others may simply be checking, their connecting gate or their baggage claim information. I mean, our engagement rate today is dramatically higher than our take rate, the number of people who buy a session. I mean, some people are watching Gogo Vision, the movies, and others are simply getting on the airline.com, and already the airline is paying us for the passengers to have free access to the .com, because it's obviously a win for the airline to have that done.
So would it be that we might get either free or lower cost for maybe slower connectivity? It's kind of like at hotels, you get a certain connection for free, and then there are trade-up opportunities for higher or greater, faster or greater bandwidth.
Yeah, compared on the ground, at least now, it's still more expensive. Even 2KU lowered the cost, increased the coverage globally, increased the speed. It still won't quite match ground economics, so there'll be more likelihood. I mean, someone's paying for that, and so there's probably more pricing than you see on the ground. The difference is the gap's going to close with 2KU, and everybody on the plane will be able to access the service instead of some subset of the people on the plane.
Do you see that the capability evolves? Virgin America has an in-flight system that you can use to order food and beverages. Does Gogo evolve to offer that capability to its airline partners for its customers, or anything else like that?
Yeah, I think in-flight experiences will happen, and Gogo in general will stay out of the application business. We can't know everything about the travel business, the airline business, about avionics, about engine sensors, but we will work to make it as easy as possible for people to develop their apps on the Gogo network. And so there is an enabling platform there in the middle between pure connectivity and the apps. Little things like, what flight number, where is this plane, how do I process a payment? People don't want to invent that over and over again every time they come up with an app. So Gogo's likely to make those things available, and then the creativity of the world and the travel industry will come up with all the apps that make travel a better experience.
Okay, great. I want to just, if anyone has questions, please raise your hands. We've got a few minutes left. We've got mics, and we'll run them to you and we need to run them to you because it's hard for everyone to hear. So if you've got any questions for Michael, please raise your hand. In the meantime, Michael, I just wonder, as you look at this, what are the demands that the airlines are saying that in 3 or 5 years they expect connectivity to be able to do X, Y, and Z that it cannot do now?
Yeah. Well, first, I think the demands are pretty simple. Some airlines are very clear about articulating it, and others are still figuring this out. They want it in every one of their planes. They want it to work everywhere, which means when you fly over the water, it has to work. When it's at the gate, it has to work. When you're taxiing it, 100% of the time they want no break in connectivity, and they want extraordinary reliability. Fixing planes, they have enough problems keeping planes going on time with weather and air traffic control. They don't need anything breaking. And that's a considerable challenge. So those sound like very basic things, but it's to have a solution for every plane on every place on the globe, every circumstance the plane could be, and keep it working all the time. That's probably for the next 3, 4, 5 years. That's the demand. Then it's going to become how easy, how flexible is this for me to use? Like we've seen with our portal, the thing you log on with, and that when we first launched it, it was all about Gogo. Now everyone's branded for each of the airlines, and but behind that is our ad serving capability. We can pop the content. No one would know how to do that without that. The merchandising center, how to set all the different prices. The dynamic whitelisting, so you can choose what websites you want to go to for free versus which ones are behind the paywall. And I can name 50 other things. So we do all that in the background, but the airline, as far as they're concerned, they have their portal and they get to do what we want with it. And I see that happening, and we do a lot of the plumbing behind the wall. Mm-hmm. They feel like they own it.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions? I see Dennis has a question.
Back there.
I know it's up to each individual airline, but do you think phone calls on planes are a dead issue in the U.S. on domestic flights?
Yeah, they're certainly not popular at the moment, and I see no likelihood of that to change. In the rest of the world, they're allowed. On our business aviation, and we do have several thousand business jets we fly, maybe 6,000 with the capability to make phone calls. It's going away. People don't talk on the phones anymore. So even though there's no one to bother them, there's nothing in the way, we see emailing going up, we see texting happen, and we see very few phone calls. So I almost think it's becoming a mood issue.
Are you concerned that people, once you get this 2KU capability rolled out, people are going to try to do web conferencing or FaceTime or something from an airplane? I mean, that could be pretty annoying too.
Yeah, the etiquette ultimately is going to be defined by the airlines, and we're in the business of making airlines happy. So if they tell us they don't want that to happen, we'll make sure it doesn't happen. If they want it to happen, we'll figure out how to let it happen.
Okay, good. Do we have any other? Okay. Michael, a question that I have is, originally it was the North American carriers that were very adamant about getting Wi-Fi, and people said it's an American thing. It's really just the Americans and Canadians who are so obsessed. How do you see this playing out now and changing in other parts of the world, in particular in regions like the Gulf, India, South America, Southeast Asia, where we have so many developing markets? What do you hear from airline customers or prospects?
The airline business is one of the most globally uniform businesses you can find. The planes are all the same. They operate to the same standards. There's different levels of service, but you're not surprised when you walk on one plane versus the next. There's only one reason it started in the U.S. first, is we found an engineering solution to the problem with our air-to-ground network. up until now, there has been no global solution that has really worked across all the dimensions. 2KU, in my view, changes that. There is now, it's fast, it's affordable, and it's everywhere airlines fly. That's going to trigger it as soon as there's an economically useful solution. And so next 2-3 years, it's going to happen because as soon as the cat's out of the bag, one airline has it, the next can't afford to be without it.
And the last question, AT&T announced at one point they were going to come into in-flight Wi-Fi, then they turned around and said no. How do you see the competitive landscape shaking out over time? Do you see Gogo remaining freestanding? Did they get, would it be acquired? Do you feel all of the competitors you have now remain in business over the next 5 to 7 years?
I think it takes this is a complex business. I mean, the scariest 3 letters in my life these days are STC, which is the supplemental type certificate, the certification to get on an airline. And it's a complex industry to serve with something highly technical. Very rarely do you touch as many planes in such a short time as Gogo does. The infrastructure to do that globally is extensive. The ability to develop the technology that goes on planes, there's no vendors. Takes real scale to do that. I think you need thousands of planes to succeed, and Gogo has the most planes today. We intend to have the most, and I do think the rest of the competition is going to have to somehow get together. You can't have a few hundred planes or even just 1,000 and be in this business. I think this industry grows so much. This year, Gogo's forecast to do about $500 million in revenue, which is probably in excess of half the industry. We forecasted it as $30 billion industry inside 20 years. Whether that's right or wrong, it's growing many multiples. So we're operating every day as if we're a standalone company, and we want to be the global leader in this business.
Great. All right, Michael, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Pleasure.